Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Narayanang Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, today we are going to read from Srila Gurudev's purport to the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are studying now, beginning with Dharma Projita Kaitavo. So Srila Gurudev spoke on this in New Braj, Badger, California, and this was compiled into his book called Secret Truths of the Bhagavatam. So we're going to read portions from that, and we can discuss them if we like. If anything comes up you want to talk about, you can just let me know and we can pause and talk about it. So Srila Gurudev says, to begin this chapter, he says, if you hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, then what happens? Tat Shanat. Tat Shanat means without delay. It's the last words of this sloka. Tat Shanat. Tat means that thing. Shanat, immediately happens. So what are we talking about? Something happens without delay. Tat Shanat. So what is that happens? Gurudev says, Krishna will enter your heart and be controlled. So this is the last line. Sadhyo hridyavarudyate trakritibi shushrushavis tat shanat. That at once within the heart, Sri Krishna will appear without delay. Parerishvara. So it's saying that Srimad Bhagavata, there's no need of any other teaching than the teachings of this Bhagavatam, because they're so powerful that at once, by hearing them properly and by developing this culture, Shushrushabis means the culture of hearing, then the pious men are immediately Krishna comes within their hearts. Right. Srimad Bhagavatam is very powerful and sweet. It is not bitter like a medicine for malaria patients. Okay, that's interesting. Other medicines may be somewhat bitter, but the medicine of the Bhagavatam is not. It is like nectar. The nectar of the Bhagavatam may not appear to be sweet in the beginning. It may even appear somewhat bitter, but afterwards its real quality of sweetness manifests. It is actually very sweet and very powerful. That's genius. So how can we understand that the Bhagavatam is very powerful and very sweet? And Gurudev said it is not bitter. However, in the beginning it may appear to be bitter. In the beginning it will not seem to be sweet for some people. But afterwards its real sweetness will manifest. So that idea is very important from Sastra. So the idea of what is bitter in the beginning is sweet in the end, and what is sweet in the beginning is bitter in the end. It's a very common theme. And that is the theme in our Sastra of Preyas and Shreyas. Have you heard these two words? Abhiram? Preyas means what is immediately gratifying. And Shreyas means what is the best for you in the long run, and it gives you the most happiness in the end. So that is the nature of the Bhagavatam, is that it's for your supreme welfare. So like if you're always just eating sugar and sugar and sugar and sweets, and you get diabetes, and it causes you much more pain in the end. So sometimes you have to take a bitter medicine. But the interesting thing about our scripture is that it is sweetness. The Bhagavatam is sweet, so we have to understand the inherent quality of the Bhagavatam is sweet. It is not bitter. That is what Gurudev is saying here in the first paragraph. It is sweet, not bitter. So what is the only circumstance in which something that is very, very sweet tastes bitter? Bingo. Okay, so therefore Rupa Goswami gives the answer in Upadeshamrita. Shat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapya Vidya Pitopatasya Rasanatya Narochi Kanu Kinpadarat Amurinam Kalvishaiva Justa Sadvi Kramad Bhaviditad Garamula Hantri. Because of the disease of jaundice, please turn off all your cell phones to attend Harikata. Okay, so Rupa Swami says the jaundice, when you are suffering from the jaundice like disease of ignorance, the medicine for that jaundice disease which nature is that you cannot tell that something is sweet. That what is sweet tastes bitter to you when you have jaundice. So Krishna and the Bhagavatam and all these things, they taste bitter to the jiva who has avidya, ignorance, which is like jaundice. And the cure for jaundice is sweetness. But that sweetness is bitter. So it's contradictory almost, but we have to reconcile it by the proper understanding. Not by just becoming stuck on the outside. That how is it that what is bitter is sweet? It's bitter because it's leading you to the sweet result. But it in its nature is sweet. So everything Krishna does is sweetness. That's why it said we should read this verse. Adaram, Maduram, Garanam, Bandhuram. Everything. The whole song is saying everything is sweet about Krishna. That his chastisement is sweet, his affection is sweet, even his rejection is sweet. Everything Krishna does is sweet because it's ultimately for our benefit. So the Bhagavatam, those parts which may seem bitter for us are actually for our benefit, and they will lead us to the sweet result. So the cure to jaundice is sugar candy, but that tastes bitter. So you need to take the sugar candy as the medicine. And by taking that medicine more and more and more and more, gradually your jaundice will be cured. So therefore, it is said, Kim va parerishvara. What is the need for others? That when you have jaundice, take sugar candy, and it will cure you. So we don't need, the Bhagavatam is the sugar candy for the jaundice of avidya, ignorance. So let's move forward.
Yeah, because I really in the practice, in reality, from my experience, I never see that for people, especially devotees, for somebody this philosophy was bitter. No one telling me, everyone was exciting, especially it's something new.
The philosophy is sweet when you are intelligent enough to understand the scope and to understand that you have a disease and you are ready to take medicine for it, and the goal is sweet. Some religions, they don't teach you properly about the goal because they don't know. But because we have a very sweet goal, then it's like we are ready to accept the bitterness on the path. But most people, if they don't have faith in the goal and that the goal is sweet, and even some people think, oh, why do I want to eternally be the slave, servant in Braj, washing pots, cooking? Oh, I don't get to directly meet with Krishna, I have to be like an assistant servant. For some people it may not be sweet. But devotees who are ready to accept this path, for them it is sweet. Not everyone is ready to accept that. Everyone thinks, oh, eternal slavery, I don't want it. Many people have the nature of many people have the nature of the demon, Satan, which is that I would rather be a king in hell than a servant in heaven. Alright, so let's move forward. So Vyasadeva wrote many scriptures, and in the Mahabharata he has the Bhagavad Gita. Vyasadeva wrote the Vedas, he wrote the Brahma Sutra, but still he wasn't satisfied. So Gurudev tells this story then of Narad Rishi, and I think we already talked about that in the first verse. So we'll just kind of skip through that. But Narad Rishi told him, you must surrender and do meditation, do Manasi Seva, then you can realize the truth. Okay, so therefore Vyasadeva meditated and he understood the Bhagavatam in trance and then wrote it down. So it was like Samadhi Bhasya. It wasn't like he was collecting from different sources and interviewing people. Oh, what do you think about this? Let's put your interview in the book. No. He did his meditation, then he just wrote the Bhagavatam. Ganesh is just sitting there writing and he's just speaking. Samadhi Bhasya. That's very powerful, like what Prabhupada is doing. Samadhi Bhasya. He doesn't have to go and interview 50 people to write a book. Alright. So Gurudev says, some statements in the other scriptures. So why do we say that we should take shelter of the Bhagavad Dharma and not accept different teachings? Is that we have to find what is like the gold standard testing stone. So some of the Puranas, Purdy was just saying yesterday, there's 18 Puranas, the Sattvic, the Rajasic and the Tamasic Puranas. But Krishna says to Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, Nirdvanda Nitya Sattvasto, Nirdyoga Atmavan. You have to give up the Vedic teachings, which are like the flowery words of the Vedas, which are just flattering people, to get them anyhow to follow somehow as much as they can. They're not ready for the higher teachings. So you have to give up attachment to the flowery words of the Vedas, the three Vedas, which teach about the three gunas and how to enjoy in this world and this and that. That's why Purdy says my Akadashi book is completely different from what you will find in scripture, in general, like Puranas, because they are teaching mostly about like the lower path. Prabhuji's writing an Akadashi book.
Now?
Yeah, he's almost finished. But this Akadashi book you can find in some Puranas, like, oh, you do this Akadashi, you'll get a kingdom. You do this Ekadashi to get sons. So he said this is like the Triveda, so we are not accepting this. What we are accepting is the Bhagavatam unadulterated. And that which follows as like a servant of the Bhagavatam, which follows the teachings of the Bhagavatam. But the Bhagavatam is the ultimate testing stones. Because some statements in other Puranas, Gurudev says, they have impurities. Okay? So the people who are giving these things, it's like Vyasadeva gave these teachings which are mixed for those who do not have such high intelligence. So in some Puranas, there are many things that are just for beginners, which are not true to the complete extent. Just as Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj made certain statements for beginners, and for advanced devotees he said something else. In this way, we should try to reconcile all apparently contradictory statements. So we have to learn how to reconcile contradictory statements in the how do you reconcile? You reconcile it with the higher principle. The higher principle of truth, the testing stone. Guru Sadhu Sastra. Dharma projita kaitavotra. So in other Puranas, the histories of Harishchandra, Dhruva Prahlad and Chitraketu Maharaj are given. But the purport of these histories is not clear. For example, Harishchandra was engaged in karma, pious action. He thought that worldly truths were real truths. Srimad Bhagavatam also describes this history, but at the same time it states that the only truth is transcendental reality. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva clearly explains what can lead us to Goloka Vrindavan. Some other Puranas discuss worship of materialistic gurus and relatives. I want to stop at Harishchandra. Who knows the story of Harishchandra? You know? Okay. So this is a really important point. That's why it's great to we have to read Gurudev's Katha and then question and try to understand. If we don't understand the meaning, then we have to go deeper to just research the meaning. Because Gurudev is also speaking in essence. And if we don't clearly understand, we have to go deeper. So other scriptures, they are teaching these important stories, but they are not revealing the proper meaning completely because they're giving it for less intelligent people. But the Bhagavatam, the way the Bhagavatam teaches, it will teach the same stories like Dhruva, Prahlad, Chitraketu, Harishchandra. Harishchandra I don't think is in the Bhagavatam, but Dhruva, Prahlad, Chitraketu, they're there. But they also give the absolute meaning. Not just the material reality or the relative reality. They give the transcendental absolute reality. That is the speciality of the Bhagavatam. Therefore we take the Bhagavatam as the highest praman. What did Mahaprabhu say about, Vishwanath Chakravarti said a certain statement that Gurudev said, you have to know this sloka or you're not my disciple. Gurudev said 2 slokas at least, you must memorize or else you're not my disciple. So he said, what is the opinion of Mahaprabhu? Written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So that is Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesatanyasta Dhama Vrindavana Ramya Kachiripasana Brajaviva Yena Yuhalpada Shmad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pramartam Mahasi Chaitanya Matamida Matadra Naparaha. We do not accept any other teaching but that of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu teaches the Bhagavatam is the Amal Puran, the spotless Purana. That is our evidence. The gopis' worship of Krishna is highest. Krishna, the real absolute form of Krishna, is Nanda and Braj. And the highest worship is that of the gopis, and the highest realm is that of Vrindavan. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This is one of his prayers. And Gurudev said we have to memorize that one also if we don't know it. At the end of the class we'll show you. In Gurudev's books it's common. Yeah, so we'll give it to you and we'll learn that one in time. Or you can learn it on your extra time if you like. Alright, so Harishchandra. Wow, it's funny because once you read the purport and then it's Gurudev has so many different trails that signposts. Take this road to go this way. Take this road to go this way. So we can choose to stay on the road of Gurudev's purport or we can take the side road and then come back to the main road. So you guys want to take the side road really quick?
You just now told us that we need to go deeper if we not.
Okay, so Harishchandra. What's the story of Harishchandra?
Yeah.
Harishchandra was a great king who was known to be very charitable. And everyone was always respecting him and he was thinking he is the great, great king. He is the most charitable person. He is such a glorious person. Everyone was glorifying him. He is so great. He is so great. He is most charitable. So the demigods decided to test him. Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh together decided to test him. And God, I forget the name of his guru. Maybe I have to check. I don't want to say it wrong. So his Gurudev came to him in a dream. So the thing what Harishchandra was, he was famous for giving charity. So he would give whatever when he would give you. Harishchandra.
No, he's Guru. No?
I think it was Vishwamitra.
Or Vishwamitra. This story when he took everything in the dream and then came in reality to ask donation. And then he told, you gave me everything in the dream. Yeah, this one story.
Yeah, so the story is that, okay, so his Gurudev came to him in a dream to test him by the desire of the three devas. I'm just trying to find the exact, it's either Vishwamitra or Vashista. Vishwamitra, I think. He gave him his he said Vishwamitra gave him his transcendental knowledge. So he taught him about the transcendental knowledge. So he came to him in the dream and he asked him for donation of his entire kingdom as charity. It's a funny thing also because there are some people who are very charitable, they'll give whatever you ask. But most people are afraid to ask for a lot. It's like there's some fear in them. Like if you were to tell someone, and this is the same for Gurudev. Gurudev was in Mathura once, and he said to all the brahmacharis, I will give you any boon you want, come to me tonight, I will fulfill it. And in the night time, he said, oh Gurudev, bless me so I can have a sharp memory, I'll learn a lot of slokas. Oh Gurudev, another person came, bless me, I can be free of lust. Oh Gurudev, I'm very angry, I don't want to be angry so much. Oh Gurudev, this and that, Gurudev. And then the next morning in class, Gurudev was very sad. He said, oh, I wanted to give you the highest thing, but no one was ready to take it, no one wanted it. You asked me for Braj Bhav. Ultimately, naturally everything else is gone. If you're in Braj Dham serving and you have spiritual perfection, you don't need a sharp memory to learn slokas. You've attained the purpose of the slokas. Why do you need to learn Tatenu Kampam if you're like cooking in the kitchen with Radharani? What is the need? That's why Guru Prabhuji says, the gopis, they don't need to go to school. School is for like stupid people. Yeah. They're not stupid. They don't need to go to school. Why do they need to go to school? So they don't need to learn. So Gurudev said, if you take the highest thing, you don't need the lower things. Everything is included. So lots of people, they're like, you tell them that you can have anything you want. What do you want? They'll ask for something very small. They're afraid. Like, okay, Sanatan, I'll give you however much money you want. How much do you want? He's a tricky guy. That's because he's like sadhu. He's a cheater.
No, but still.
Tell me specific amount.
Still, even you tell I will give you all money. He told just all money. He doesn't tell gold, this and that.
So what do you want specifically?
Specifically?
Yeah, how much?
How much money?
Yeah.
All this, yeah.
All money.
You have to say specific. Anyhow, the point is that what is you should say, like, what is the greatest wealth you have? You give that. But anyway, the point is that Harishchandra is giving charity to anyone, whatever they ask, but no one is coming in reality saying, just give me everything. They're afraid, or they don't have the intelligence to ask. But his guru, they came and to test him, if he's really charitable. In his dream, he asked him to give him everything. And he said, okay, I give you. So then the next morning he came, and he said, you remember what happened in the dream? And then immediately Harishchandra was like, oh, now I have to give everything. So he said, okay, you take the whole kingdom, no problem. So he gave his kingdom, and then he said, okay, now you have to leave. He said, leave your palace and leave the kingdom. It's mine. I didn't give you permission to stay here. You'd think you'd have some compassion. Okay, I'll give you a room to stay in somewhere. But he's like, no, it's my kingdom. You gave it to me because we have to understand. He's testing. Who is he? Is he really charitable or not? So he said, okay, this is my kingdom now. You have to get out. And then he said, okay. And then he went and called his wife and son. He said, what are you doing? You gave everything, the wife and children. They're also part of my property now. He said, you want your wife and children, you have to pay for them. How can you imagine this? He's like, okay, you want your wife and children, you have to pay for them. And you yourself, you have to pay for you yourself also. You are also my property. So he took the kingdom, he took Harishchandra, and he took his wife and he took his children. His son, prince. And he said, okay, you're each worth like 5,000 gold coins. Maybe Harishchandra was 10,000, I don't know. Because naturally, like, a man is worth more than a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. So he kicked them out, and so then they went to some other, like, outside that kingdom, right? Actually, I don't know, but yeah, we just said that to disturb people. So anyhow, so they left the kingdom, and they had to work to make money to pay back their Gurudev. Can you imagine? So then they're like a king. He doesn't know how to be a Sudra, like to be a common laborer, and a queen and a prince. Or he was just a baby at that time. So what happened? They started working in different places.
That's still happening in
No. The dream was only when he came in the dream and said, you have to give me your kingdom. And he said, okay, I give it to you. And the next morning, in reality, he came. The next morning he came and said, okay, give me your kingdom. And then he was like, okay, you have the kingdom. And then he was like, okay, get out. And he said, oh, by the way, you owe me some money. You're worth money and you're part of the kingdom. Because the king is the servant of the people. It's part of the kingdom. So he said, you're not the king anymore.
I think he told, as I remember from Prabhuji, I heard, that he told morning time, and he told, okay, I came, give me dakshina to Guru. He told, you take whatever you like. He told, what do you mean? You already give me kingdom. He told, okay.
Yeah, I think I skipped that. I think that's another explanation, is that he's saying, okay, when you give a big gift, you have to give some dakshina also.
Yeah.
So
this.
Yeah.
100%.
So he needed money. He had to made some offerings. So anyhow, they went to work, and Harishchandra went to work in a cremation ground. That's also significant. Why is he working in a cremation ground? Because the lesson that the Devas wanted to teach him, we'll hear about in the end of the story. I won't give it away. But he's living in a creation ground, working for the owner to help burn bodies. It's a tough job for a king, no? And what happened is one rainy, stormy night, some years, like a year later, he was working there to collect the money to give. Then he found like one skinny, ragged lady. She looked very old, decrepit, because she was starving. She was very thin and only one ragged cloth. She came, and in her arms there was a dead baby or a dead boy. And he was there at the cremation ground as the guard, and who was overseeing everything. And so when she was coming, then he said, okay, you have to give some payment to burn. She said, I want to burn this baby, this child. And he said, okay, you have to pay for that. She said, oh, I don't have any money. What can I do? How can I pay for it? So he said, oh, you're wearing this cloth. You give at least half your cloth and you can use that as payment. So he took half her cloth, and then they went in and they began to burn the baby. But it was so rainy and so stormy, they couldn't easily recognize each other. And then when the storm cleared and when they had burned the baby, then he saw that, oh, this is my wife. And she saw, oh, this is my husband.
Tough, yeah?
Tough lesson, huh? And then I think the story goes that basically at the end of the story, when he had done that, then Vishwamitra, his Gurudev, and the Devas, they appeared before him, and they gave him some higher knowledge. They gave him the blessing, and they said oh, not only was he charitable, but they said, oh, he was always very truthful. So they were asking him. I should have studied up on this story. I haven't heard it in a long time, but this is the essence, is that they asked him oh, you think you're very charitable, you think you are Harishchandra, this and that, but what is the reality is that you don't know who you are. This is not who you are. This is your material body. That's why he has to be in the cremation ground, because he had to burn his own son to realize that his attachment was false. His attachment to his wife was not his real relationship. His attachment to his own body and his kingdom was not his property, so how could he give it? That was also in the lesson, that it's Krishna's property. So how can he give what's not his? And so the real charity is you have to offer yourself to Krishna and serve Krishna and be established in your own Atma Dharma and do seva. That's the charity of your energy and yourself in love for Krishna and engagement in service. So that's but the other teachings, they won't, in other books, they won't give these transcendental teachings. Srila Gurudev and the Acharyas and the Bhagavatam give these type of teachings. So the other ones, they'll talk about these type of things, but they won't give the deepest meanings. So that was the essence. I think we can read about it again sometime and see what else they had to say about it, but that's the basis. All right, kind of tired today. All right, so let's go further now. That was Harishchandra. So the idea is that the Bhagavatam will give the absolute reality. So some Puranas discuss worship of materialistic gurus and relatives. They state, for example, that a wife should worship her husband even if he is not a devotee. But the Srimad Bhagavatam never cheats us in any way. So why would a wife have to serve her husband? It said that the wife should worship her husband as if he is God. That is standard idea of dharma. But actually that's one kind of punishment, because the wife is the jiva. The jiva is the servant of God, but she's turned away, and now she's so attached to this world And so her punishment is like she has to serve some lusty, beastly man, like God, like her husband. She has to serve like man, which she wants to enjoy. She wants to have lusty relations also. She wants to enjoy in this world like God. So the punishment is that she becomes like, the jiva becomes a woman, and then she has to be the servant of Purush Bhav, demon man. It's not that like the man is so glorious, like some Bada Jiva man. It's saying the wife should worship her husband even if he is not a devotee. If he is not a devotee, what is he?
Demon.
It's like Gurudev said in Bhagavatam, there's like two types of people. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita says Daivi or Daitya Vibhed. What is the difference between the demonic and the divine qualities of man? So, and it talks about each of them, how one is atheistic, one is proud, one has so much false ego, thinks I am powerful, I will do all this and that. It defines like the materialistic person, which is like most of the people in this world. So here, the wife should worship her husband even if he's a demon. That's showing that this is her punishment. So why is it her punishment? That's a whole other can of worms. But this is a simple idea that we might as well go into this route really quickly. Do you have any water I can drink? I'm just kind of really tired right now. I haven't slept properly today. I didn't take a nap. I didn't sleep enough yesterday. All right. So why does the woman have to worship her husband if he's a demon? The Bhagavatam doesn't teach that. But the other sastras and the regular dharma teaches that. But the higher thing is that you have to go beyond this dharma and enter the real transcendental dharma. That's why Krishna says sarva dharma and prityaja. Give up all these other dharmas and follow the real dharma. So what my understanding is, okay, why do we say that women is less intelligent? Prabhupada said it in the Bhagavatam. And in many places, Prahlad Maharaj himself said, my mother Kali was less intelligent because she's a woman, therefore she could not accept these teachings. Therefore she went back to her demon husband, Hiranyakashipu. They want that, and therefore they're taking it. She was with Narad Rishi for 60,000 years, hearing Harikatha, and in the Harikatha he gave all the different transcendental teachings. But as soon as her husband came back, she said, I want to go back to my demon husband. So he said, why is that? So why is it? It's because, what is the meaning of intelligence? Proper intelligence, as we heard in the first day of this verse, what was that? The need for discrimination. We need to know what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what is the proper path, what is the improper path, what is sat, what is asat. We have to discriminate in this world. And that is what the ladies are not good at doing because they have too much of a compassionate, loving nature. They are too easily loving. That's why it said that, my understanding of why it says a woman is less intelligent is women are less intelligent because they cannot discriminate as well. They're less intelligent because they're not as good at discriminating. And you need to discriminate. Intelligence means knowing. Like we can look, what is the actual... you can acquire knowledge and skills through discrimination. The ability to apply and acquire, like use critical thinking to discriminate. So the women, they're not able to do that as well because it's like if you have more love and affection for something, it's like you don't want to say, oh, this is bad. Like we see in these days, like they don't want to... Nowadays even, like if you are saying online, like, oh, sometimes like these Muslim terrorists, some of them, they're very bad. People, they will attack you, say, oh, why are you saying they're bad? They cannot discriminate between good and evil because they have a soft nature. So it's not a bad thing. They are less intelligent because they are less discriminating. Why are they less discriminating? Because they are more loving. And men are more intelligent because they are more discriminating because they are less loving. They don't have that loving tendency as much cultivated in this world. And the gopis, when they came to this world, they became men because they need to have discrimination in this world and they need to be like strong. Women are weaker also for the same reason. So women, they tend to go towards like the opposite of their nature also, which is like demons. They want to have a demon husband until they are purified of that desire. But the Bhagavatam gives you the higher teaching. Bhagavatam says, give up your demon husbands and worship Krishna. He is the real husband. Rukmini says, why are you, stupid women, wanting to serve a bag of pus, blood, semen, meat and stool and urine? Why do you want to serve bile and hair and all these gross things? Why do you want to serve that? Instead, worship Krishna, who is completely pure. So the women who want to serve that thing, they're told, yes, your husband is like God, you worship him. So that's one kind of cheating. So therefore we understand the need for discrimination, and they have less because they're more loving, and so they make the mistake of like they become easily trapped, easily drawn into this illusory conception of like, okay, I'm attracted to this bad person. which is bad for me. Like she was attracted to Hiranyakashipu and she went to Hiranyakashipu. But the Bhagavatam doesn't cheat us like this. It says directly, Guru nasasyat, svajano nasasyat, pita nasasyat, jananani nasasyat, daivan natatsyan, napatista chasan, namocha yadya samupette mrityum. The Bhagavatam is direct, 5.5.18. It's in Canto 5, which deals with the hellish planets also. So there it says, if you cannot deliver your dependent from the path of repeated birth and death, you should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a demigod. If you cannot deliver them from material life, which is like hell. Okay, so two things are important there. One is that you should reject the opposite. Okay, if you cannot help them, don't become their guardian. And if they are your guardian and they can't help you, then you can reject them. So if we are going to a higher guardian, we can reject the lower. So that's why if we go to Sri Guru, he can be our father, and then we can reject our material father. Otherwise, it's sinful to reject your mother and father. But if you approach Sadguru, it's like auspicious, because it said if you water the root of the tree, the whole tree is nourished. So Krishna is the root of the tree, and Guru is like his servant. Serve Guru, then all the demigods and everyone is satisfied. That's what it also says, Devarshi Bhutapti Nirinam Pritrinam. That people, when you leave, if your family were to say, oh, why have you left me? You have to come back to me. You're going against religion because we're suffering and we're old. Then you can tell them this, that if one is serving Achyuta Krishna, and he's in Achyuta Gotra, the family of the infallible transcendental being, then he is no longer indebted to the devas, the earth, the forefathers, the ancestors, the nation, the family, anyone. All his debts are solved immediately, at once, as soon as he's taken full shelter of Krishna. If you haven't taken shelter of Krishna, you owe everyone some debt. You're breathing air, you owe a debt to Mother Nature. Fire, air, water, anything you take. Okay? So the Bhagavatam gives the higher truth. Another thing we can take from this, so there's the opposite, that you can give up what you are dependent of if the dependent does not have the right to be your authority. Because they can't save you, you are dying again and again, they can't save you, so why are they giving birth to you? Why are they controlling you? Another thing we can understand, here it says, one cannot deliver that person who is dependent on him. Means his servant, like he is the authority. So when it says a father or a husband or a mother, that means the father is the authority of the children, the husband is the authority of the wife. No one wants to accept that nowadays. It doesn't say the wife, it says the husband is the authority, but if he's not a proper authority, you can reject him. It doesn't say that the husband will reject the wife. The wife is the servant of the husband. That is the proper natural dharma. But it's also one form of punishment for the jiva. That when we want to be the purush, we want to be the man enjoyer, then we become the woman and we become the servant of the demon. So the Bhagavatam says, get rid of that slavery, get rid of that bondage and go higher. So Gurudev says, what is the meaning of nasasyat? If a guru is not really a guru, if he cannot give you love and affection for Krishna, you should reject him at once. Such a guru will think, all these disciples are my property, I will enjoy their property, they have no connection with Krishna, their connection is only with me. Then Puri says, that guru is like a sinful wretch. He is thinking, I am the father, but you are the son. The son who thinks, I will become my father, and he wants to cut the head of his father, then Shiva, his wife Parvati, will come and cut his head. And those type of people, they say, Om Namo Shivaya, I worship Guru, I worship Shiva. And after a few days, they say, Shivoham, I am Guru, I am Shiva. And Parvati, the material nature, will come and cut their head off. And that's what she does. That's what Kali does. So why is she cutting their head off? Because they think, I am Guru, and everyone is only my property. But Krishna is the original Guru, everything is Krishna's property. And you cannot become Krishna, you can only be his servant, his son. So therefore, you should reject such a Guru. How? Just as Bali Maharaj rejected his Guru. Bali Maharaj's Guru was Sukracharya. Sukra means semen. He's the Acharya of semen. Means the Acharya of the materialistic, lustful, enjoying nature. Not the Acharya of bhakti. I'm tired today, so I need water and some energy. Alright, Bali Maharaj rejected Sukracharya. That's another side road that we don't want to go down now. We know the story of Bali and Sukra, and we'll hear about it more in the Bhagavatam later. We know the story. We know how he rejected him, right? But we won't go into the story now.
I think so.
Alright, it's a nice story and we'll go into it later. A husband is not a husband if he is not helping his wife in Krishna consciousness. That wife should reject such a husband. That is women's liberation. Okay? If a wife is not helping her husband in Krishna consciousness, or if a husband is not helping his wife in Krishna consciousness, they should be at once rejected. That is the liberation of man and the liberation of woman. Don't serve a demon. Serve God. Simple. Simple philosophy. Krishna is the ultimate husband. That's why it said, Kanakera dware sevaha madhav. That kamanira kam nahi tavadham tahara malik kevala jadav. That to satisfy the desires of women is not your right, and it's not your responsibility, and you're not qualified to do so. Their master is only Yadav Krishna. He is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme husband of all the living entities. And if you try to satisfy their desires, you will suffer, they will suffer, and together while embracing, you'll go down into hell. While choking each other, strangling each other, you'll both fall down together. So therefore they should be rejected. So other Shastra will say, worship your husband like God, and the husband should worship their wife like the goddess. But that is only Maya. So Bhagavatam gives the transcendental truth. Alright, so Gurudev says, a son should be rejected. A father should be rejected. There should be no relationship. This is the bitter teaching that people don't want to accept. Those who don't, they say, this Bhagavatam is full of bitterness. They say reject material relationships. But we say this is sweetness. Giving up your family that is materialistic, this is so sweet. Full of sweetness. That's why when we tell the story of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is a nice story, okay? He was a famous Bhagavat speaker. Everyone would hear from him. Even Rup Goswami would hear from him and become so full of bhav that he would become like completely motionless. But everyone else was weeping and crying, but he was so deep in his absorption that it was like he was not even breathing, completely in meditation. Such was his absorption. And his separation was so hot that said they would put a cotton by his nose and it would be like 2-3 minutes and then some breath of air would come out and it was so hot it would burn that to ash. Such was the fire of the separation he felt from the Gita. So such power was in the Harikatha of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. But what happened? Many people become attracted to such Harikatha and they come and they think, he taught the real Bhagavatam. The real Bhagavatam teaches reject the wife or reject the husband, become a sadhu, follow Krishna. So he gradually became one village leader, gradually became renounced. He was coming to Harikatha, he started wearing neck beads. Before he was like atheistic, only enjoying and making money and maintaining family, this and that, like moral atheist. So what happened is then he started wearing neck beads, started wearing tilak. Every day he was coming for Harikatha very eagerly. He started bringing other people also. So his wife became very upset. And his wife, every day she would like nitpick, henpeck. You know, like henpeck, like a hen is like pecking on the ground. So they say like a husband who is henpecked by the wife, it means she's like biting on his head all the time, hitting on his head all the time. Like do this, do that, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? Nagging. Okay? So she was always saying, why are you going there, why are you going there, why are you doing this, is bogus. So he wouldn't listen to her. So finally she thought, okay, this is what I'll do. She went and she found some very beautiful widow lady. Her husband had just died. She found a very attractive widow. And she said, okay, I'm going to give you like a ton of money. Because they were wealthy. She was the husband was the leader of that whole town. And he was a wealthy man. So she said, I'll give you a ton of money. What I want you to do is go to the Harikatha of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, because he is stealing my husband from me. He's a bad person. And what I want you to do is, after his Harikatha is over, you have to start pulling out your hair and rolling around and crying out, rape, rape, rape! This is what they do in America nowadays. It's true. They try to lure someone in, attract them in. They like to show, I am free, I'm available, come and enjoy with me. And then they come, and afterwards they decide they didn't like that person, and then they think, how can I drag them down? And they do. There's so many cases of that. And naturally the tendency of people is like, okay, I believe them, I'll help them. So the wife said, you widow, okay, you're a very beautiful, attractive young widow, everyone wants to help the beautiful lady. Oh, the beautiful lady in distress, I have to help her. So at the end of the Harikatha, you go and you do this. And if you can successfully convince my husband that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is a rascal, debauchee, who has abused you and raped you, then, and he comes back to me and lives with me and never goes to see him again, I'll give you like more money than you can ever enjoy with. Like, you'll be satisfied for life. You'll be set for life. No need to work. Do whatever you want. So the widow's okay, let's do it. So then what happened is that, okay, so she went to the program, and like 2-3 hours, Harikatha, everyone's weeping and rolling on the ground in ecstasy in Harikatha. And then this lady, at the end, she starts like crying and rolling on the ground and scratching herself and pulling off her ornaments and like scratching at her body. And Sarpanch, the leader, is like, oh my God, I have to control the situation. What's going on? So he goes over and he like tries to calm her down and pulls her to the side and says, okay, what's going on? She said, oh, this person, he's speaking such high things, but actually he's a rascal. He's such a rascal. You have to punish him at once. Reject him at once. But what happens, like, someone tries to say that about Prabhuji, it's like, oh, you're such a foolish guy. We live here, we know everything. You think we're foolish. We can't see anything. We can't see what is real. The men, they can discriminate. What is right, what is wrong, what is truth, what is fiction. So he sees this lady, she's a cheater. She's like a putana. Very beautiful putana. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is a pure sadhu. So he said, I know you're cheating. I know he's pure. I don't even have to ask him. I know this is a lie. He is pure. Everyone here is in like ecstasy hearing Harikatha. He is manifesting Asathatvik Vikar. And you think that he is like he is enjoying in Radha Krishna's pastimes. You think he's going to touch some bag of stool like you? Why would he touch you? So he says, you tell me who put you up to this or else I'll beat you. That's why Chanakya Pandit says, Basu dol or nari, itin danda arikari. It's a very politically incorrect mantra. Do you know what it means? The animal or a dog and a drum and a woman. Sometimes all three need to receive danda, which means beating. Very politically incorrect. What are we going to do about it? But in such a situation, what can you do? You say, you tell the truth or I'll slap you. So she became afraid. Okay, I'll tell you the truth. What happened is that actually your wife told me to do it. You can imagine, then he was like immediately, he's already like, we can imagine, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is probably arranging this through his pastime, and Krishna's arranging this. Oh, how can I get him to completely reject samsara? And every day he's giving Harikatha, Krishna, pastimes of gopis, and how beautiful it is there. And at the same time he's telling the negative side, oh, this samsara life, your body is just like full of blood and pus and stool and urine, and you're dying and suffering so much, you should reject material life, worship Shri Krishna and Braj. Like Prahlad Maharaj said, Vanam gato yad harim ashrayat. Give up the well of household life, which is like a pit of snakes always biting you and causing you to die. Give it up at once and go to Sri Hari. And there you'll be eternally blissful. That's what the sadhus teach. They cut through your anarthas. So he was hearing that for weeks and weeks. And then his wife does such a thing. Then what's going to happen? Can you guess? So then he's like, okay, you want to play like this, huh? You want to play with me, huh? You want to try and cheat me and make me drag down this pure sadhu. Sadhu is no problem. What happens in society nowadays? They have a, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur says, Chod ko chod ke sadh ko ban gaye aur dekhte faasi lagaye. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur says, the thief is forgiven, the sadhu is punished, or the sadhu is hanged, and the witness is chod ko chod ke, the sadhu is released, the thief is released. Sadh ko bande, the sadhu is captured. And the witness who saw what happened and who knows the truth, he is killed. That's the nature of Kali Maharaj. This is Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur tells a very nice story about this. He said, there's so many like little side paths. Okay, so let's go down this side path really quick because it's a nice story. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he said once a time there was a famous thief. He would steal from everyone. And finally, like as he was coming out of one house with the goods, then someone saw him. And they started calling out, oh, because for many days all these different houses were being stolen from. So he saw the thief and then he began to shout out, thief, thief, thief. And everyone started running, coming out and looking for him with like torches. So what he did is that the thief quickly dropped all the goods, like he quickly ran into the forest. It was like nearby the woods. And he threw everything and hit everything very quickly. Like, because the person calls out thief, thief, thief and it's nighttime. Then everyone starts coming out of their house shouting thief, thief, thief to find him. So in like just a few seconds he ran and hid the thing. And then he joined the crowd very quickly. And then he started pointing at one person, thief, 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 and shouting. And then the whole mob went, thief, 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 and they believed it. And then they caught that person. And then the other people said, oh, how do you know he's the real thief? He said, oh, because I saw him hide the things he stole. He stole this stuff, and I saw this person. You can imagine how clever, huh? Thieves are very clever like this. So when they caught him, he thought, I quickly hide the goods, the things I stole, and then he joined the crowd by another way. He went around and joined the crowd, and they're all running around looking for the thief. And then he called out, this person's the thief. And then they said, how do you know? He said, oh, I know where he hid it. When he was hiding it, I caught him. I was the first person. I saw him. So then he said, the other person was protesting. We said, oh, you're just the thief, so you're naturally lying. I'll take you to the place. Take it, showed him, and then they caught that person, and the thief walked free. So therefore, the moral is that chor ko chor ke sad ko bande. The thief is forgiven, let go. The sadhu is captured, and that if anyone notices the real difference, he will be killed. What will the thief do next? If that person who really saw him, who really knew what he looks like, he'll go and kill that person. Because he's the witness. So this is the nature of the material world. So therefore, what did the husband do? Because we see that in the world. So many people give false blame. It's a very easy tactic in politics. This person stole so much money from me. This person molested me. This person abused me. Because many cases of that are there, then people naturally believe and they like to think of the victim. They like to side with the victim. And there are many cases of real victims. So therefore, the easy way to pull down a sadhu is paint him as the thief and the bad person. And already people will have inclination to tear him down because people's nature is like they see someone who has more prestige, more wealth, more followers. Because they're like a good person who's inspiring everyone. Then the envious nature wants to bring them down. So they'll easily side with them. So therefore, this is a common practice. But we should know, many people nowadays say all gurus are bogus because of this. But it is the saying of Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, that if there is counterfeit money, this proves that there is genuine money. Because without genuine money, counterfeit money has no value. Right? Counterfeit money only exists on the value of the real money because it's fake, it's infiltrating. So the same thing is with gurus. There's real gurus, therefore bogus gurus can have some counterfeit quality because the real thing is there. Okay, so therefore the story, the husband went back, and what did he do? Without talking to the wife, without anything like that, all he did is very happily, he took some fuel and some like match type of thing, and he had like this nice wooden house with so much straw, like old house back then. Back then, it's a village. This is Raghunath Bhatt Goswami time, 500 years ago. So houses weren't like this now. Wood, straw, this and that, And it was like a village place also. So he took some matches and some fire, this and that, and he lit his house on fire. His wife is inside. You can imagine your husband comes home, honey, I'm home. Lucy, I'm home. What? Oh dear. Psst, light the fire. As the house began to burn, and she smells the smoke, she becomes afraid, and she goes to look out, somehow my house is on fire, my house is on fire. She runs outside and her husband is there lighting it. Oh no. I did some mistake. Without any word, he turned around and left and went back to Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, gave up all his samsara life. He said, now Krishna has done a very nice thing for me, very nice punishment. Immediately he's done surgery and I've given everything up. Now I'm a sadhu. Now I will accept the path of auspiciousness. That's a very happy ending. But if you say that's a happy ending to people in this world, they'll say you're a cruel and horrible person. But why? Because the Bhagavatam is sweet. Krishna is sweet. Even his chastisement is sweet. But those who don't understand the sweetness of Krishna, they will think his chastisement is punishment and is bitter and is evil. But actually it is sweet. Because why should we remain the slaves of this bag of pustule urine and flesh? So therefore, if your wife does not help you, if your guru does not help you, if your husband, daughter, son, father, friend does not help you in Krishna consciousness, you should at once reject them. This is what Srila Gurudev says. And now it is 6 o'clock. So, this must be the root of all relationships. If you consider some compromise in this regard, you will be deprived of Krishna. There can be no compromise. This has been clearly explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis are the most superior devotees in the world, and all of them disregarded their husbands. This is women's liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam explains all these truths. It never says anything to cheat us. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.
I want to tell you a story which can be exception from this statement.
Okay.
Statement of the class that you has possibility and rights to reject. You have rights to reject if.
Yeah.
But sometimes what's happening, Prabhuji told, how this girl name, I forgot, sister, Hari's sister.
Yeah, I know.
And Krishnadas' brother.
Yeah.
They married.
Yeah, so?
He is doing nonsense lot of, and she came to Prabhuji and she told, can I apply for divorce? Because I can't tolerate more, I try my best.
Okay.
Prabhuji told.
Why?
He not following anything, and he actually worse to worse now.
Why does she want divorce? What should we do? What's to do afterwards?
Yeah. Then Prabhuji told to her because they try to their statement to based on this what's telling Shastra that you can reject.
Every day I'm drinking your water.
Yeah, you can leave.
I'll finish it too.
You can leave it.
This is actually prasad from Thakur.
That's why I'm very greedy.
Yeah.
Okay, you said you can leave or what?
No, he told, don't do this.
Yeah,
He told, it's danger for you personally and for world.
yeah, because they will go and get another husband and another husband and another husband.
Yeah, and you will create disturbance for this.
Who is ready to be more than Kayadu? Even Kayadu was 60,000 years with Narad Rishi. Narad Rishi, 60,000 years. And afterwards he said, take me to the worst demon in the universe. What else did she say? I want to go to Hiranyakashipu, the worst demon in the universe in history. You read the Bhagavatam about what Hiranyakashipu was doing. He makes Hitler seem like a kindergarten boy playing with ants. He terrorized the entire universe. And yet, Kayadu said, oh, 60,000 years Harikatha was nice, staying in your ashram was nice. No, let me go back to my demon husband. So they'll give up one demon husband and go for another demon husband.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's said, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. You know him, he's like a bad guy, but he's also still a little bit of a devotee. You give him up. I know in other cases with ladies, who they gave up their devotee husbands, and now they're with karmi husbands.
Otherwise, disturbing other good devotees, young good devotees.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not so
Because
easy to give up.
she is young also and attractive.
So that's why not everyone is like Mirabai. Mirabai, she gave up her husband and she was really in love with Krishna.
Yeah.
So the condition is you have to really be in love with Krishna. Otherwise you'll do it for your sense gratification, you'll just be another disturbance. Mirabai's husband was like the king, but she wasn't like Kayadu, she only loved Krishna. So she went to Krishna. They asked her to marry him. He said, I am married to Krishna. Why? He said, who is this Krishna? Oh, he is this Murti. Oh, you foolish girl, you're not married to a stone deity. And then they tried to poison her. They thought she's some mad girl. They tried to kill her. But she thought, oh, Krishna is my protector, like Prahlad, she took it, and she is Mirabai. But
Yeah.
every girl is not as qualified as Mirabai.
No.
And if you have real love for Krishna, then do it.
One class, Gurudev Varashnavala said, one sentence, said, if
Yeah.
you are not married, remain unmarried. If you are married, do not remarry.
No, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because we overestimate our renunciation when we are suffering. Renounce when you're happy, then we'll understand it is good. Mahaprabhu renounced when he had the most beautiful wife, the perfect family life, everyone in Navadvip loved him, and he walked away from it. People like to renounce when they're suffering.
Yeah.
Renounce when you're happy, then it shows you're a real man. Actually, I just saw that there's only one paragraph left to Gurudev's commentary on this verse, and then we start the next verse. I want to start the next verse tomorrow anyway. So let's just read that last paragraph.
Okay.
Alright, the next sloka is the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree of knowledge. So the last paragraph Gurudev says is Nirmatsaranam satam. It means those who are free from envy, duplicity, hypocrisy, and all other impurities can understand the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. Others cannot understand them. Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam means the real truth and reality. What is that? Vastavastu? Krishna himself, the non-dual absolute truth. Nothing exists without some relationship with him. No one is independent but him. Still, he sometimes becomes dependent, but of who? Only the Brajabasis, the Gopis, and especially Srimati Radhika. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimba Paririshvara. Ultimately, there is no need to read. You should hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. By doing that, Krishna will at once be controlled. He will be bound to enter the heart of a devotee who has honor for Harikatha and the strong faith that whatever is written in the Srimad Bhagavatam is true to the fullest extent. I want to come back to this tomorrow because it's beautiful. This is the foundation of the Sastra formula. No one likes to accept it as if it's actually true. They like to say, I believe it. Accept the statement of the Sastra as if it is true to the fullest extent. Don't make excuses. Everyone wants to make an excuse that it's not real as soon as it's uncomfortable for them. So we don't do that. We accept the Sastra as if it is true to the fullest extent. That is what Srila Gurudev says. All that is required is honor and faith. Bas. There is one other condition for understanding the Bhagavatam. Do not offend the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavat. Do not offend the Grantha Bhagavat or the Bhakta Bhagavat. Never offend either one of them. If you hear the Bhagavatam from the Bhakta Bhagavat with honor, at once Krishna will enter your heart and be controlled. The sloka says, at once, very quickly, Tat Shanat. Do not disbelieve Sukadeva Goswami, Sutta Goswami or Vyasadeva. Have faith. What they are saying is true. Even if it is painful to accept, it is true. Even if it is bitter pill to swallow, swallow the pill because it is sweet. You have jaundice, therefore you cannot taste the sweetness. It is true to the fullest extent. Okay, Krishna knows. He will immediately enter your heart and he will never leave. If you hear with strong faith and honor and belief, then you will be able to practice with your heart and by your activities, and then Krishna must come. He is bound to come. Thus ends Gurudev's purport on the second verse of the Bhagavatam. Haribo. Tomorrow we're ready to go forward, because that was 4 days this sloka.
Yeah, good.
Haribo. Radhe Shyam.
Smara.
Yeah. Balavaja.